This is a non-confidential briefing on the bridges. This is being done for a friend of mine in Washington at the Alma Raymond Center. No, it's the Pat Raymond Center at Alma, Washington. Okay, I'm going to start out with the definition here, which led me to start looking at these various bridges here. Definition of Dianetic clear. I'll read it to you. It says, there is such a state. Only about 2% can actually go clear in Dianetics. I'm wondering, 2%, last time I was at an org, it seemed like everybody at the org were Dianetic clear. The Dianetic clear, as any Dianetic PC, now goes up through the grades of Scientology and to a proper clearing course. That's the Scientology clearing course. And Dianetic clear of Book 1 was clear of somatics. Book 1 definition is correct. This is the end phenomena of Dianetics as per the class chart, and book. Period. 2%, no more, make Dianetic clear accidentally. They still need expanded lower grades to make Scientology clear. Now that was in 1976, and if you look at 1978 Tech Dictionary, this definition I just read to you is gone. Okay. And I was going, well, what should I tell people? See, and people would come to me and says, well, what do I do now? What's my next step? And so it led to confusion. People are confused. But you're not, so you won't be confused if you look at the RTC bridge, 1982, after David Mayo left. It says here, if you're Dianetic clear, what to do. Dianetic clear was mentioned briefly in 1980. This is the gradation chart that David Mayo put up. But there's no mention in it in the 75. Or the 1970 bridge over there on that side of the wall. So what is one to do? Let me see that dictionary, the 1978 dictionary. This one. Let's see the big difference there. It says here, the state of clear can be achieved with Dianetics. It is not, however, attained by feeding people cognitions, especially a cognition or a statement that comes out of one of the advanced materials. The discovery of Dianetic clear must not be run on engrams. Now this aligns with the Tech Roundup in 78. It says here, it's the state of Dianetic clear means the PC has erased his Dianetic case or mental image pictures. He has attained the ability to be cause over matter, mental matter, energy, space, and time on the first dynamic. Has erased his Dianetic case and mental image pictures. Well, apparently somebody forgot that in the Scientology clearing course, you're not auditing Dianetics, but GPMs. Totally different thing you audit out. How they mixed up clearing out engrams and clearing out GPMs they're two different things. Okay, so let's start up here so we get ahead of ourselves. This is a lot of people had never seen this in the free zone. This is the 1970 bridge. Look, we'll get it up there to show people it's 1970. And then show them the way up. Now one of the things here, the big difference is Dianetics is here before you do the grades. See that? You do Dianetics. ARC straight wire before you do Dianetics, because ARC straight wire was developed so that you could run down that time track easier, and it was part of Dianetics. ARC straight wire is not part of grade 0, but it was eventually put on the grade 0 on the other grade chart by somebody. And then you have 0 to 4, power, grade 6, clearing course, and then the original OT levels, which were taken out of the RTC bridge. They don't do the original OT levels. Okay. I had an OT8 from the church call me the other day and say, she said, I don't feel too OT. And I said, you don't feel too OT because you didn't do the OT levels. How are you going to feel OT if you don't do the OT levels? No. Alright, now here is the 75 bridge, and Dianetics is down here again. ARC straight wire, Dianetics, 0 to 4, and then they added expanded Dianetics. Expanded Dianetics is freedom from cruel impulses and chronic unwanted conditions, to act without restraint. Okay, that got rid of your evil purposes and things like that. That eventually, because David felt that Dianetic clear should not be run on Dianetics, he, instead of running expand Dianetics, they created the false purpose rundown. So it's like, find your basic confusion or something. Anyway, here's another gradation chart, 1980. I have something in writing where David Mayo said that Hubbard gave him the hat of tech, and he created lots of things, and this is pretty much the gradation chart. And you see where knots is at. These are original bridge here. These are original OT levels here. And then you have knots up here near Dianetics. But curiously, there's no Dianetics run on knots. You don't run Dianetics on knots. You do some sort of valence thing. No Dianetics. In fact, there's no Dianetics run after expanded Dianetics here on this gradation chart. Here there was some Dianetics done on OT3. But here's not. And now knots is up here above OT7. See? Now, after David was kicked out of the church for his altering the tech and other things, RTC altered it a little further and took out the OT levels and put in and made these two up here into their OT levels, 5 through 6. They made knots, expanded it, and called it the new OT levels, 5 through 6. How do I know that? Because I've done it. And if you see the original bulletins, all that technology is right here. Yeah. And then they what else they do? Oh, here, if you attest to Dianetic clear, you wind up skipping this much off your bridge. Skip this much off your bridge if you attest to Dianetic clear in the RTC bridge. So I'll tell you what you're going to be missing. From cruel impulses, ability gain, you're going to be missing the ability to handle power. You're going to be missing recovery of knowledge. You're going to be missing grade 6, return of power to act on own determinism. So you won't be able to act on your own determinism as much. You're not going to be free from dramatization. You're not going to be free, and also the clearing course. which is implanted DPMs. You're not going to erase those. So you can miss all that if you want and do the RTC bridge. That's why a lot of people are not satisfied in church, because it's been altered. I would find somebody who actually has done them and knows how to and was trained on how to get people through it. Otherwise, just like Hubbard says, it takes a clear to clear somebody. Why? Why do you think it takes a clear to clear somebody? What do you think?
So you don't perpetuate your bank on the person.
Exactly. Say I'm not clear, and I'm going to go audit you on clearing. Well, I already have a subconscious counterintention of clearing myself or anybody else, so I'm going to run that counterintention on you. You going to let you go clear? No, I'm not clear yet. I'm already running it on me. You follow? So this is actually on the Clearing Course Congress. Hubbard talks about this. How it takes a clear to clear someone. And that guy who's not clear, that non-clear, will run the counterintention on you. And it takes an OT to make an OT. Somebody's really not OT, he's going to run the counterintention on you too. He's not going to let you be OT. He's going to be afraid of the big thing. How about a lot of people? A lot of people sit there and they go, steer, and they become huge, and they go, you sure you want me to be this big and powerful? And I say, fine. I'm not afraid of big things. Anyway, so there's big differences. Any questions so far?
No.
Huh?
No.
Okay. Any questions?
I guess no, not really.
Well, one came up earlier. You mentioned that RTC's bridge, their OT6 and OT7 their OT5 and 6 is formerly the 1975 bridge. OT knots, right?
Knots, yeah. They took the knots materials and they made OTs out, and they labeled OT 5 through 6. And I'll tell you what. See the drug rundown on knots here? They made that into their OT4 drug rundown.
Drug rundown on knots is above 7 there.
Yeah.
Okay.
The knots, they made it OT4.
Right.
It's right here, OT4. Scientology. Yeah, OT drug rundown completion, OT4. See? So they took this and they made it into OT4.
Okay.
And then they took, this is in various parts, like audited knots. They made that into OT5. And then training you to do solo knots, they made that OT6. And then you do your solo knots. You go home and do it, and they charge you $30,000 a year or whatever. And you do, they made that into OT7.
And what they do with the original OT
Materials?
5 and 6? Yeah.
Well, this is why they did this.
Did they?
Because at the time, David Mayo was suing them for copyrights, claiming they were suing David Mayo because David Mayo went out and opened up his own shop. He was kicked out of the church, so he said, well, I helped LRH develop this. I'm going to open up my own shop. And he did in Santa Barbara. And he had like thousands of people. Well, not hundreds, thousands of people in there. And
When was
then
that? After 82?
yeah, this was after 82. This was like 83, 84, something like that. And then he, I got to get you some tapes on it. The Siegel tapes. Did you ever see those Siegel? You ever hear those? John Siegel. Great tapes on this whole period, this whole historic period of what was happening. And he ran that for about a year, and then the church sued him. And David countersued him and said, yeah, I helped develop them, I should be able to use them. That went into about, 8 years of litigation. So they were afraid they might lose that, and eventually did lose that court battle, the church did. And David was acknowledged for helping put that knots together, and I think he put most of it together. And so they had to change it. Otherwise, they're using David's knots. So they changed the whole bridge.
Okay.
See, they changed the whole bridge, and they.
Did David put together also the original OT 4, 5, and 6?
Oh no, Hubbard put those together.
Okay.
That was Hubbard.
So why would RTC delete those from the new bridge?
Maybe you should ask them. I don't know.
Because they're powerful.
Stupid, you know. You know, you think they're all smart and because they got a lot of money or something. So did John D. Rockefeller. He had a lot of money. Hitler had a lot of money one time. So you can't equate that, you see. What you got to do is like with the facts. Hubbard developed these OT levels, and they took them off. Why they took them off? Your guess as good as mine. But you cannot get them in the church. The only thing I can guess is that there's no copyrights on it because a lot of the processes are in creation of human ability, stuff like that. And those books were designed for the public as a handbook. Anybody could buy that book and then co-audit, see, stuff like that. So they wanted to create copyrights. Back in the 80s, what I got from some church members, they're really afraid that they would lose the church. It would all go to David Mayo. And they started fighting for copyrights and gathering materials and rewriting it. Just like those books there. You give me those books there. The new ones. So this is a whole, they've come out with a whole new book packaging. See? And this is LRH's introduction to ethics. And here's their introduction to ethics. See? LRH passed away in 1986. Somebody else put this together. And they put his name on it. Hubbard did not write this book. It's from the works of LRH, so that's what they say. It's just somebody else putting it together. Anyway, so they repackaged it for copyrights. That's my guess. All right, but so much for the books. I think this is not a bashing for the church. This is just historical facts. This is what I'm doing this tape for. That and to settle confusions about what bridge you're on. See, you can go down into clear, just like it says here. Fine, but don't rob yourself of all this stuff. And people will, if people were trained here and have no clue and that didn't do this stuff, didn't do this bridge, they're not going to have too much reality on it. See? If they just get it off the net, right? They're going to push whatever bridge they were trained on. That's the culturation. Culturation, definition of culturation is that which you were educated in and agreed to that particular belief system. So guys educated in the RTC bridge is going to want you to do RTC. Because every one of these bridges, a guy was told that this is it. Okay. I did this bridge. Also, I did this one here too. I did all the steps on knots and on OT8. So I know what I'm talking about. You're going to get some winds, but you're not going to be stable OT, no way. That's just what I've seen, facts, you know. When you got OT8s calling me saying, I don't feel OT at all. There's something wrong. Well, you didn't do any OT levels. Oh yeah? There's OT levels? Yeah, LRH had OT levels. Well, how come I didn't do them? They don't have copyrights on them, I guess.
You're examining the history dating back to a 1970 bridge,
Yeah.
1975. What year is that one?
80.
And the Bridge to Total Freedom?
I think that's 82,
Okay.
and that's, I'm waiting for another one because there's a whole bit another change going on in the church, a whole another technical change. Every time there's a technical change, a lot of people leave. You know, I know when there's a technical change, more people are calling me up. And so whenever there's one, there's a big a lot of people leave because they've been trained on a particular one, and then all of a sudden they're given something else. It throws them into confusion, and a lot of them leave.
So what about that's the bridge to total freedom? The difference.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. On the RTC bridge, you see up here the bridge to total freedom. See that? Get a close up on that. That, of course, is an absolute statement. Nobody can yell fire in a theater. As long as you have other dynamics, you cannot, as an individual. And this bridge is set up to audit an individual up the right side here. Yeah, you learn how to audit people, but you're learning how to audit an individual, not groups. It's the green on white handles groups policy. So this is the first dynamic thing, yet they're saying they're trying to sell you that you can be totally free on all dynamics doing this. Plus it's an absolute statement. Absolute statements are, well, absolutes are unattainable, right? But if you look at these bridges, they're more closer to LRH, and this is the LRH, is a bridge to a new world. And a lot of people think that's metaphorically speaking. I tend to think it's pretty literal, pretty literate. I mean, it says, it is what it says. It's your bridge to a new world.
Using analysis of the history from 70 to 82 or after, if that bridge was created after, is it okay to calculate maybe consequences of a new repackaging of the tech? In other words, in another 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, what can we predict or calculate would be the consequences of a continual cultural change every 10 years? Is it the expiration of Scientology technology as originally envisioned by LRH, or is it just a complete and total dumbed down of the philosophy where it turns into cartoon books and videos for...
That's what it's going to, isn't it?
Masses.
So you answered your question. The question was, is there going to be more morphing, more changes? And the answer to that is, of course, it's a dumbing down process being done to handle the whole planet. Where, yeah, it's the cartoons, the Key to Life books are very cartoonish. Men and women dressed in cartoonish fashion now. You know, it's a dumbing down. You know, dumbing down. You look at a lot of celebrities; they look like cartoon figures. You know, that they're not real people anymore. And so, yeah, I think it's a dumbing down process going to happen, and it is happening. Look at these books. You know, they make it real simple, you know, to read and do, and you know, they had like professional writers come in and rewrite this stuff and dot the I's and semicolons and get everything down. Plus, they're changing definitions. I just showed you one definition, a key definition that was changed. How many other definitions did they change? Many.
You mentioned that in the 1975 technical dictionary, that only the definition of Dianetic clear is that 2% go clear on Dianetics?
Right.
Okay. And the other 98% would need to do what?
Scientology clearing.
Scientology clearing.
Scientology clearing, of course, yeah.
And where is that at the bridge?
Right here. Clear. Right here, clear.
But that's an ordering rundown, right?
Yeah, it's a solo course. It's a course that you learn how to audit yourself in.
Solo one?
Solo one.
What's the name of the course?
It's called the clearing course.
Or the clearing course?
The clearing course.
Does that exist on?
On this one? Yeah, but they tech degraded. They say for those who do not go clear on new aerodynamics, you do the alternative route. If that's not a degrade, I don't know what it is.
How is it a degrade?
Well, it suggests that you're not good enough to go. That you're not. If you're not able to go clear on Dianetics, and well, we got an alternative route for you. And so it becomes almost a status thing. So you walk in any org or Scientology organization, everyone's going, "I'm clear, I'm clear." And you ask them, "Clear what?" I don't know, but I know I'm clear. And so the people cheat themselves of a good chunk of the bridge.
So then can we calculate that 98% of the clears are false clears?
That's the stat I got. False clears, yeah.
Okay. And not only are they a false clear, but also have robbed themselves of
Correct.
all the other key clearing below clear.
Most dynamic clears you show up that I've run into are they're full of somatics, they're full of unwanted feelings, sensations, attitudes. They're HENR, human emotion reactive. They're some of them didn't even do the grades. They just march them up, to OT 1, 2, and they usually wind up falling flat. They run real shallow. They don't run real deep into the bank. They're on OT 3 maybe a week or two when they should be on it for 3 months or something like that. They run real shallow and they get up and they think the next level is going to handle their case. And they keep moving up until knots. Now all of a sudden, so they wind up at Flag. And Flag loves this because everybody winds up there faster. And then so they have to do new aerodynamics for years, 8, 10, 14 years or more. Where I could show you on the original
new
build.
Aerodynamics or new aerodynamics?
Knots.
Okay.
New aerodynamics for OTs.
For OTs.
I could show you on the original materials, where it says you should be on knots no more than 100 hours.
But you also mentioned a minute ago that the people who are coming in are not running as deep as they should. So the symptom of today's OT7 is that they're not running as deep, but they're running forever.
Correct.
And you should run very deeply, very intensely, for a much shorter period of time.
Well, you just figure it out. If a guy hits his, as is his basic engrams and implants, then there's less to audit if he's getting down to the basics. So that means he gets through it a little faster. You don't take forever. This does not take forever to do. I had the people with the wherewithal, even when I was in the church back in '77, or I think it was '74. We had people come in, and they had the monies. Back then, it was affordable; anybody could afford it. And within a matter of months, they were doing OT. They were doing OT 3 and 4. And they just, and they became full OT 7.
So that's getting through Dianetics and the power processes.
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, if you sat down and you didn't leave, right? You should be done with it. No matter of months, probably no more than a year. Get done with everything. I'm not talking about training, but processing wise.
6 months to OT7
Why not?
or OT8.
Yeah, I've had people do that. I've seen people do that.
That's realistic.
Yeah. Getting all the basic stuff, all the infinomenals, all the ability gains, all the EPs, everything.
You mentioned And I hope this is not detracting it from talking about it from a historical perspective.
Yeah.
But one of the symptoms of a person who is on the bridge today in RTC, in other words, is it more difficult to have a comm cycle about the isness of standard tech or standard Scientology as originally intended by LRH with someone who's just recently out of the church because of the amount of cultured indoctrination? Is there a lot of work to undo in order to correct?
No, actually not. If you explain the facts,
Right.
because there's already confusion. I'm not
Right.
presenting a confusion here or
Right.
presenting something that might confuse you. People are already confused. See, and all I'm doing is what do you call it? Sorting it out, helping the person sort it out, and on what they want to do. See, like there are some people who are totally satisfied with Dianetic clearing and doing this bridge, believe it or not.
I believe it.
Some of them I wouldn't even have in my house. I wouldn't invite over. Yeah. They don't impress me too much. You know, they got problems. They got 2D problems. They got life problems. They're not too OT to me. Because see, this is a lot easier. This is a dummy down bridge. You could skirt this and wind up at the top and say I'm OT 7 or 8, and I'm just see, I'm Mr. Sunshine or whatever. And you could easily skirt that bridge and get up to the top. You had enough money. It cost about $350,000 to $400,000 to do this bridge, by the way. They never tell you that. They never tell the public, oh, by the way, you're starting, Scientology with us? They say, yeah, good. It's going to cost you $300,000 to $400,000 to do up to OTA with us. Count it up.
That's just for the bridge.
Yeah.
But then you've got a list of other third dynamic.
Oh yeah. Plus you got to keep
Arbitraries.
perpetuating and keep giving them money for their boats and for their buildings and for their whatever they're doing. Yeah. See, I don't want to get into bashing the church because I like church actually. I don't want it to go away. You know why?
It's your div
Good.
6.
Yeah, it's my Div 6. I mean, they're out there promoting, getting people in, enlightening them that there is such a tech, and inspiring them to go clear, and then getting them out as soon as they can. And they call me up, or Pat. See, everything is as it should be. See, everything is as it should be.
Right.
I love it. I got to practice. I had to practice for the last 18 years outside the church. 20 years in the church. I like to show some of my certificates. See, I did. This is grade 5. This is power processing. I did power processing in the church. I also got trained to do it by power processes outside the church. It's grade 4. Let's see what else I got here. OT 5. OT, that's 7? Read backwards.
Yeah, 7.
Full 7. 1979? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Full OT 7. See, I did these bridges.
I got a question.
Wait a second. Here's straight wire, What's this one here?
Study tech.
Study tech. Happiness rundown. Okay. 1981. Super literate. So if I attain super literacy, I guess I know that I can read something here and get it done. Dynamic books are book 1, Dynamic Auditor, whole track course specialist, lead FSM, That's the year they canned me because I became a lead FSM. Field staff member. I had a field staff member cert. Staff status 2. I was in Scientology Tokyo. I'll put in Y's there. Introspection with a introspection course.
Investigations.
Yeah, investigations. What is this one here? Oh, introduction, ethics, right? What else? That's the one you did. Executive status 1, right? I did the first course that when it came out. Key to Life course. Proud of that one.
Yeah.
Tough course. Letters from LRH. I got tons of them. Invitations to do OT levels. See, if I was an SP, SPs don't get case gain. Well, what was I doing getting all this case gain? I'm an SP. Dumb shits. Those are letters from LRH. So you actually signed that one. See, you can tell the ones that were see like that one there. Some of these were anyway. I got tons of these. I got more stuff. I got my clearing course stuff isn't in here. Scientology clearing. Anyway.
OT7, there was a point I recall, I think it was after 96, where RTC communicated to the public that we rediscovered, or we just discovered that there was 76 some odd tools that the old OT7s were not using. And therefore, we need all OT7s to go back onto OT7 and do it.
You know what's really asinine about that is that if you hired somebody to come in and do some electrical work, right, and he comes back to you and says, "Look, I put the wrong stuff in. Yeah, I charged you, thousands of dollars, but I put the wrong stuff in, and I didn't put all the stuff in." And I'm going to come back and do it all over again, and you got to pay me some more money. What would you say?
So if you made a mistake, you should.
They should pay for it, not you, right?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So what about the 15 levels above OT8?
Well, according to David Mayo, they never were developed. It was like Hubbard said, pieces of notes and things that he wrote about it, but they never was piloted. No one ever did them. OT8 was never piloted. They just put it together and sold it. And then when they didn't like the outcome, they put everybody back on OT7. Usually Hubbard would pilot something. If he came out with a purification rundown, he would have people do it for a while, get it down right, and then sell it, then market it. That's what you're supposed to do. It's like you're going to sell something, you make sure that the gizwiz or the widgwiz or whatever you made works. But they never, and so they try to sell you marketing that, we have all these OT levels. Well, they had them for 30 years now, how come you don't give it to anybody? And if nobody has made it in order for them to get it, then then their OT levels aren't any good. They never made it. You got to start putting a little logic in this thing, stop quit looking at the PR and the marketing and their crap, and start. Whoever says, "Look, don't listen." Right? When I see people coming up at my house or whatever I'm at, and they start saying, "I didn't get anything out of those OT levels," time after time again, then something's wrong. So what's wrong is that every one of these charts. This one here was, except for the 1970 when Hubbard was there in charge of the tech, this one here was, as far as we can tell, that Alderus or some technical guy had something to do with the changes from 70 to 75. And the changes were here on the OT levels. David Mayo, we know, had put this gradation chart in his image and created some changes, and he put what did he do? Well, he put knots right up here when it actually is supposed to be an assist, and he says that in one of his letters, that knots was an assist. It wasn't meant to be OT levels.
What does that mean?
It was an assist. It was something that's supposed to,
Okay.
like a special rundown to help you out. It wasn't supposed to be stretched out into a whole big OT levels. See? Miscavige and his boys put this one together. See?
Were there any alterations on the training side of that bridge from RTC?
Oh yeah, it has to line up.
Okay.
So all this stuff had to be rewritten. That's why you got new tech volumes. They had to go back and rewrite everything. One, for copyrights. Two, to go along with their paradigm of what their new bridge should be. That's why things get rewritten. Because there's a new guy in charge, and he lines it up with what his case is, or what he thinks it should be, and then you get a new gradation chart. And then you got to rechange the tech to go along with that. And then you culturate everybody who comes in to get trained in that mindset that their tech is the one, that's it. This is the real tech. You do anything else, you're squirreling. David Day, 1980, did the same thing. Tech Roundup, this is it. Anything else, you're squirreling. Over here, they go, anything that's David Mayo is a squirrel. Anything that he did is squirreling. This is the real tech.
So from that, we can actually almost deduce an authoritative, quote unquote, standard approach versus
What works.
what works.
Exactly.
Results.
So what we did is like, okay, we even threw out Hubbard because there was a lot of debate. Hubbard wrote this. No, he wrote that. No, David wrote this. No, well, okay. How do we know who wrote what Hubbard wrote? Okay, let's put Hubbard aside even. David, Miscavige, Hubbard, and get down to the Scientology technology. Philosophy is what works. Auditing is what you can get away with, what works, and that's in the Clearing Congress, Video Clearing Congress. It's now on CD. Where is it at? Oh, it's over there. Let me see it. Listen to this again. Listen to this again when you get a chance.
That's an introduction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, introduction, but also, you're right, there's a Clearing Congress, those 6...
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's in there. It's not in here. It's in there. That he says that you got to go with the philosophy of what works and blah, 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 blah. And that's what we did. That's what I did. I went back to what works. And you go back far enough that those copyrights are gone. The RTC cannot harm you by doing those things because they're not doing it. See, they can't charge you. We're losing money because you're doing our tech. No, I'm not doing our tech. I'm not doing RTC. Nothing. Nada. Zero. RTC out the window. David Mayo out the window. Because as soon as you go here, Dianetics stops here. This bridge, Dianetics erasure, is found in various, all the way up to OT levels. If OT3 isn't a Dianetic incident, I don't know what is. What is?
On the third.
He calls it the fourth dynamic engram.
Right. On the wall of fire.
Right, moment of pain and unconsciousness. See? You can't tell me you shouldn't use Dianetics or any sort of erasure there. Yeah, you're erasing it by running out OT3. It's being erased. So on this bridge, there's various parts. OT4, the drug rundown. MC OT4. A lot of OT3 on this O bridge. You could run a lot of Dianetics on. Even on some of the 8 stuff, I'm not talking about what's on the church. The church doesn't do any more Dianetics. Once past Dianetics down here, the church doesn't do any Dianetics. It just recalls. When you do the Scientology drug rundown, it was recalls, right? You did it.
Yeah.
Just recalls. The original one, you found the engrams that propel you to take the drugs,
And erase them?
or the Yes, because David Mayo felt that you shouldn't do any Dianetics on clears. So he started taking it out. He started taking Dianetics out all over the place. Rewrote the tech. He says that he went back and rewrote the tech. He says in his own words. He wrote HCOVs.
So he was definitely a squirrel and an SP?
I don't think he's suppressive. I met him. I liked the guy. He was nice.
Good.
Had a few beers with him.
He just wasn't good at creating tech.
He did what he did.
Right.
He had doubts on OT3 in his own writings. I'll show you his writings. He had some doubts about what he was doing as a senior CS. I'm not in his head. I can't figure out why he did what he did. All I know is he did what he did. And it changed the technology.
Was he trusted and appointed to wear a hat to do what he did?
That doesn't matter.
Okay.
So was Otto Roos, and he was thrown out.
So was who?
Otto Roos.
Okay.
He was thrown out. So was, how many people were thrown out? They were trusted. So you can't use that as a rule.
So the only person that can create tech is LRH. The only person that can...
No,
The only
you
person
can't. No, you can't do that. You can't say the only person that created tech is LRH, because that's not true either.
Okay.
Because we found out who created the power processes, and that was McMaster's first clear. He put together the first power processes,
So we had...
and then LRH, did them over and approved them and all that stuff. But there was other people. If you look at the Ray back in the 1950s, there was other people coming up with ideas and tech and stuff like that. Hubbard was the main guy that thought okaying things, not okaying things, rewriting things, right? And then he finally put together that 70, and we're looking for the 72 bridge, because I think that's the prime. That's the one I did. That's the prime bridge.
We don't have it?
Not right now, no.
Okay.
It might be in books. But it's not too much different than that one up there, 1970. But we have all the processes.
That almost answers my next question. I know this is almost a history analysis, but
Right.
for a Scientologist or an individual who wants to go up the bridge,
Right.
looking at all these differentiations,
Yeah.
which would be the most appropriate bridge to follow in order to receive the maximum gains? I think you answered it with a 1972 bridge, which we don't have here.
Right.
Okay.
See, it depends on your purpose line. See, if you want to create a lot of people who are codependent on you, you want to create a good, thriving, money-making business where you have people hanging on you for a long time and get the maximum amount of money out of them. Because see, here the processes are right here in this bridge and in that bridge and this bridge too. But all of a sudden in this bridge, the number of processes to do grade 0 triples, and they make you do all of them.
All the grades.
Yeah.
All
And,
the bridges have all the grades, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, they make you do
Oh,
all the
the-
processes in that grade. And they doubled or tripled the number of processes you have to do here than here. So I would say if you really want to get that kind of like organization where you are milking the public, do the RTC bridge. They do a good job of it. But if you want to do Vales Bridge, do the 1980. A lot of knots. You want to do the Otto Roos Bridge. Eventually was canned too.
Correctly?
No, I'm thinking incorrectly. I think he was incorrectly canned. Nobody should have been canned. It just should have been corrected. Yeah, Hubbard can Otto Roos. This one there, so it depends on your goal. See, my goal is to become causative being, causal or mattering space and time. to reach the highest levels I can, native state. So guess which bridge I did and will recommend. 72 bridge.
How much different is the 70 from the 72 bridge?
The OT2 is different. OT2 is different, DP. That's the only thing I see different over there. Oh, and then there's no expanded Dynetics on that bridge. And that was an option too. It wasn't, when it first came out in 1972, this is 75 when they put it up here. But in 72 when they came out, it was an assist. It wasn't a major part of the bridge. You were not everybody had to do it. You had to ask the CS or qualify, or if you were a tough case. It was for tough cases, chronic illnesses, people with heavy ethics, stuff like that. I know I was around there when that time. I was on the briefing course when it came out. And we didn't even have to study it in a briefing course because it was a specialist course. And then they put it here, see? No, it says like knots. It's like any happiness rundown. All those, specialist things that if a guy needs it, he should get it. But it's not on the major bridge.
I got another question. We've seen, I guess, several different evolutions in the last 60 years, and also different cultures being reinvented.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at what could be considered the most effective bridge, the 7072 bridge, where you get raw wins, raw gains, maximum gains in terms of restoring yourself to native state, OT, the state of OT. And we look at that being available only in a non-RTC zone, the free zone.
Yeah.
And am I assuming that all the persons who are delivering that bridge are old timers? In other words, are we going to lose that culture?
It's already lost.
The original culture.
Yeah, there's not anybody else doing it, as far as I know. And the whole planet. They're doing. What people are doing out there in the free zone. See, in the church they're doing the RTC bridge, right? Obviously. In the free zone, they're doing bits and pieces. They're like smorgasbord. They're doing a little bit of this. They're doing some RTC stuff. They're doing this. That's why they continue to argue on the internet. Who's right and who's wrong? Is Captain Bill right? Captain Bill, he created his own bridge. It's not up here. I got his bridge too.
Who is Captain Bill?
He was appointed captain by LRH back in the 70s, and he was a guy who was kicked out of the church, trying to handle RTC, and he went to Europe and created his own bridge. Similar to that up there, similar to RTC actually, except he changed a lot of the OT levels. He changed the OT levels, but the tech is somewhat similar. It's kind of complicated too.
So back to my original question: is the original culture of
the 72
going up the 72 bridge?
Most of those people, I was quite young when I got trained in it. I was like 21, 20, 22, 24. By the time I was 24, it was like I did the briefing course a few times. I did. I was a clear OT4 year on staff, and then I had my own mission by the time I was 24. So I was quite young, getting acculturated into that tech, right? And I stayed with that tech, and that's why I left the RTC, because I didn't like their changes. And I left. They didn't kick me out. I left. Eventually, when they found out what I was doing, then they put a expulsion order on me. They didn't. Somebody got upset with my comm or something. Expelled me.
So is that culture gone?
That culture is gone because most of those people that got trained me have passed away or retired.
Or passed away.
They were my age when they were training me. So that, you know, this is 30, almost 40 years ago. So they're in their 70s, 80s, they're gone. That is hell gone. And the way I was trained with the big orgs, I had a lot of PCs in front of me, I had a lot of people to practice on, I had a great supervisor who were trained by LRH, you know, who were on the first briefing course, were trained. People who were on the first briefing course, Hubbard was the supervisor. That person trained me on the briefing course. Do you follow? That's how close to the source of tech I was. Still am. See, that's why it's easy for me to do. You know, it works. If I change it, or I reinvent the wheel. I could have went out and created another whole nother tech just like Captain Bill. I got enough knowledge to do that. I can create a whole new bridge. Create process. Anybody create processes. How many people in the free zone created processes or created their own thing? Easy. You know why it's so easy? Well, once you got a certain mastery of the technology, there's enough bank that you can create a process and the guy can get a win. But that's not the purpose of it. See, purpose of the initial purpose, if you look at the PDC tapes, was exit planet Earth, was a guy to go all the way up to native state or to a high OT level and get his abilities back, stuff like that.
So it's not even available anymore, that bridge, except for
Chosen few, yeah. Chosen, not chosen few, but very, very, yeah, right. It's not, I mean, you can walk up to somebody and say, please give me that, and they'll try to find it and try to give it to you. But if they haven't done it themselves, good luck. They'll shallow run you on it. They'll just, oh, you don't have to do it. There's just no, they wouldn't think it's a big deal. Did you get run on CCHs? You?
Yeah.
You get run on
Skills
CCHs?
and objectives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody first showed you reach and withdrawal tech or CCH 1 to 4, right? Touch that wall, thank you. Touch that wall, thank you. Give me that hand, thank you. You just read that. And you didn't know anything about Scientology. You just read that and you'll go, what am I going to get out of this? This is stupid. Until you actually run it.
Right.
Go exterior. Get the experience. Now you know it works. You get somebody else to do it. But if you've never been run on it, it's like, you don't need to do that. Get run on something I've been run on. This works. And that's what you're going to get. And what most people have been run on in right now, in present time, in the free zone, is the RTC bridge.
Wow.
So when you go out there, you're going to find people who are RTC orientated, enculturated, and that's the bridge you're going to get. And that's why we're making this film. So the word to get out, that, buddy, you're getting RTC bridge unknowingly, even by that auditor, who's goodwill. You know, he's trying to help you. You gave him good hard-earned money, and he's trying to help you. But he doesn't know that he's either running this, or a combination of that. And also he's putting in his own stuff in there. So you got a combination of his stuff, Mayo's, and RTC. And that's what you're getting in the free zone. The free zone has now been taken over by the RTC tech.
Wow. But if you are freeing some of the beings from, let's say, the RTC bridge,
Yeah.
but don't have something to free them into, what are they free from?
Well, what happens is, like, yeah, you have to give them another stable datum. If you're taking that away from them, you better give them, and you better have somebody around to give them the original bridge and the original OT levels knows what they're doing.
So we could say that the original bridge is hanging by a thread.
Very thin one.